What up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Cafecito and Canes. And yes, I got a little celebratory cafecito this time. Cheers. When I cheers and take a sip, please hit that like button. It tastes good. Tastes like victory. It's a victorious day to be a Miami Hurricane because, as you saw earlier tonight or earlier this afternoon, we got finally, after much waiting and having to be patient and, waiting out this process, finally, Mario lands his first transfer portal commit. Now, I never lost hope. I was pretty much in chill mode this last week. I know a lot of fans were getting pretty antsy, wanting that first commit to hit. It finally did, and boy, was it a big one. Zechariah Poyser, who was a much sought after safety, not just by us. We had to wrestle him away from a lot of big SEC programs, the likes of Georgia, Florida, Auburn, LSU. So when the big SEC schools like that want him, he's legit. Zechariah Poyser, he stands at 6'2", about $195, has 3 years of eligibility remaining, which is probably the best part. Because that kind of solves your Drake Stubbs problem. And what I mean by Drake Stubbs problem, I mean you lost a guy right before signing day that was going to come in as a freshman and have all these years of eligibility because he was coming in young right out of high school. So bringing in a guy that still has a lot of years left kind of solves that dilemma. And he's proven he can come in, will very likely be a day one starter. I would be very, very surprised if Poyser's not starting day one. I believe that's what they're bringing him in to do. At his size, his speed, his tackling ability in the open field, his ability to also cover man to man. He's very versatile, and I like that about him. So, Cane fans had to be a little bit more patient. We saw players coming off the board over the last week, all these teams having their fun. And it's like, when are we going to get to have a little fun? When are we going to get to celebrate our next commit? Well, finally it happened today. And again, it was a big one. It was an important one, maybe the most important position of need aside from quarterback. This one's one that I'm really, really excited about. Probably as of like 4 or 5 days ago was the top safety on my board personally. When I found out that he was visiting, I looked into him a little bit more. And by the way, shout out to Rock Boys Football. I believe they're the name of their channel. They do a great job covering stuff like this and going into breaking down film and going into detail about certain players. They did a video on Poyser specifically where I found out a lot about him. Talked to other people about him, and pretty much across the board, everybody agreed, yeah, this he's for real. Don't let the fact that he's at Jacksonville State fool you. I heard people say he's got like SEC upside. He was just a little raw, needed that year at a smaller school, and to polish up his game, and it seems like he has. And this is a good one. This is a good one, and not the first one in the secondary that we're going to have. I'm sure we're probably going to get at least 2 or 3 more, whether that's safeties or corners. That'll remain to be seen. I think we get either one more safety and maybe 1 or 2 corners, or maybe 2 more safeties and a corner. Let's see. Let's see what happens. So let me just show real quick some little game film. This is from his Instagram. Oof. Nice little hit there, jarring the ball loose, causing a fumble. Then you got him getting that interception there. Yeah, it's just he's got really good tape. I mean, these are his highlights, so of course they're all going to look good. So, if you really want to do a deep dive on his tape, you can. There's some out there on YouTube, but yeah, the dude's a playmaker. Great at tracking the ball. He's got great instincts. Great length. He checks off all the physical boxes there, making a tackle in the box. That's something we really lacked from the safety position. Guys coming into the box, not being afraid to hit, cleaning up those plays, not taking bad angles. So, this is like I've said a few times already, one I'm very excited about. Johnny's still going with the under 2.5 commits by Thursday. Actually, I said by Wednesday night. Yeah, I was still at 2. But now I'm not so sure, because I would have bumped that up to 3 had another commit hit tonight. I'm expecting another one to hit soon. It's 8:07 and nothing's hit yet. I know one of the favorite times for hurricane commits specifically to announce their commitment is 8 p.m. Obviously, that's probably something that the school has them do, is like, hey, if you're going to do it, wait till 8, because that tends to be when our players commit for whatever reason. It's usually at 8 o'clock. Bat signal drops at whatever time, and then usually it's 8 p.m. But it being transfer portal season and guys wanting their, the spotlight on themselves, they might pick different hours. So it's a little more unpredictable this time. But the fact that we're past 8 o'clock now and I haven't seen anything come in, I'm actually refreshing Instagram right now, seeing if Hayes Fawcett put anything up. He hasn't yet. So that tells me that probably nothing's coming tonight, but tomorrow, then I'm expecting at least 1. Could be 2. You might get that third one by Wednesday. So to answer your question, yeah, I would bump it up to 3. Now that we got 1 in the boat, yeah, I would bump it up to 3. It doesn't look like one of them is going to be the kicker, though. Buck Buchanan looks like he committed to Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. So we will not be getting that kicker, which is fine. I know we got Abram Murray. And one of the things about this other kid, Buck, was his touchbacks, his kicking power, basically, that he's kicking it through the end zone every single time, which is, that's valuable. And we've seen teams where actually the Canes have done it before, where you have a kickoff specialist and then you have your place kicker, the guy that kicks the field goals. Sometimes it's 2 different guys. So with the increased scholarships, I wasn't surprised that we were looking at a veteran kicker just in case. Abram Murray, he's just a sophomore. They see him in practice. We don't. That doesn't, just because we were shopping for a kicker doesn't mean he sucks or anything. I think it just means that they probably thought he needed another year. So if he needs another year, that's fine. He could still develop and be a great kicker. Andy, what he is today, is not what he was as a freshman or even a sophomore. He developed his kicking power, his accuracy. Now Andy's money. To me, like, he lines up for a kick, he's not going to miss. Could be 55 yards, 58 yards, 43 yards from either hash mark. Doesn't matter. But he developed that over time. You got to give, I'm sure Abram Murray's going to be great. You got to give him a minute. Yeah, Murray all the way. I'm good with him. The little bit I've seen him kicking, like in the spring game and stuff like that, I think he's going to be really good. If we don't get Mateer, then I'm genuinely curious what we do at QB, because as much as everyone likes Emory, he just isn't top level, or isn't a top level QB that we need. Any ideas who might be plan B? I know there are contingency plans. If Mateer ends up going to Oklahoma, Oklahoma's still the favorite right now. He's supposed to visit OU, and we'll see how that goes. If he leaves OU without a commitment, without signing, I think momentum flips completely in our direction, and I think we end up being the guy, or we end up being the favorite for Mateer. But if it's not Mateer, if he ends up choosing OU, like many expect, yeah, I think that there are backup plans in place. That's all I'm going to say. They do have a backup plan. It's not like, it's Mateer and that's it. But we'll see, because remember, the portal's not finished. It's a continuous thing. More guys can hit. There's going to be a second wave after the playoffs. So, and if we all know Mario, we know he is going to play this very carefully, very strategically, and very slowly. He is going to wait and see what happens. The only thing is, I would love to see us land a QB faster, because not landing Cam Ward sooner, landing him in whatever it was, January something, as opposed to December something, that cost us possibly Jeremiah Smith last year. Had we landed Cam Ward right out of the gate before early signing day, instead of him flirting with the NFL and then coming back, you know how all that went. We probably would have had Jeremiah Smith this past season, and that would have been very fun to watch. So whoever the QB ends up being, whether it ends up being plan B, plan C, whoever, I just hope they lock it in soon. That way receivers and tight ends and all the people that we're going after, they know, okay, this is who's going to be throwing me the ball. Now I can make an educated decision from there. And now, as far as Emory goes, I love Emory, as I've said many times on my show. I am an Emory fan, and I think the kid deserves a shot. Is John Mateer an upgrade? I believe he is, especially with his running ability. Athletically, he's definitely an upgrade. He's got electric running ability. Solid passer. I think I don't think he's like Cam Ward level with his passing, but he's a solid passer. Pretty accurate, good arm. He could throw on the run. But man, his running ability is very intriguing, especially if you still have Shannon Dawson next year. You can run a little bit more of that, of that mix of the air raid with the power spread, where you're running it a little bit more. I would have loved to have seen that this year a little bit more, but number one, you got Cam Ward, and you got to flash that arm. You got to let, he was a Heisman Trophy candidate, Davey O'Brien winner. You got to let him do what he does, and that's throw the ball. That's what he does best. But we were in so many close games, and we were playing from behind a lot of the time. We couldn't see the true strength of this offense and this team, which to me is the running game and our offensive, running behind that offensive line. So I think of Mateer with these designed running plays and designed, RPOs and read options. The possibilities are endless of what you can do with a guy like that at quarterback behind this offensive line. It could get really fun. And that leaves wide receivers even more wide open, because Cam Ward can run. We all know that, but he's not the same kind of quarterback like Mateer, where Cam will keep a play alive until he just cannot, there's no one open. Then he may take off and run. Whereas Mateer, it's like first read, second read. All right, I'm gone. I'm out of the pocket. It's a little more decisive. It's a little quicker. Make this show a 3-hour show, please. Still working for the next 4 hours. Well, you know what you can do is you can just replay it, rewind, and just replay it like 5 or 6 more times. I appreciate that, but unfortunately, I'm only going to be on a little bit, like half an hour maybe. Just giving you guys an update on my thoughts on Zechariah Poyser. But if you missed it, if you just logged on, very excited about the commit number 1 for this transfer portal window. Very, very excited. Safety was addressed. I think we should get at least one more starting caliber. I would have liked Thieneman, but he ended up going with Oregon, I want to say. Thieneman, really good. I liked his junior tape better than his senior tape this past season. Or sophomore tape. Was he a sophomore in 2023? Yeah, I liked his 2023 tape better than his 2024 tape. His 24 tape, I was not. I didn't fall in love with it like I did with Poyser's tape. But Thieneman, I thought, even with that, he did play on a really bad Purdue team. That's the thing. Purdue safety never considered us. Yeah, I mean, look, he was definitely a target, and I'm just saying a player like that would have complemented a player like Poyser perfectly. But yeah, he ended up going elsewhere. There weren't a lot of other safeties, though, that, like I said, I loved their tape. Maybe Metcalf's brother, TJ Metcalf. That was one that I liked. Really athletic, really quick, explosive. He's one that I would have liked to pair with Poyser, but I think he went elsewhere as well. But again, there's going to be more players hitting, so be patient there. Now at corner, we've had a ton. It seems like a ton of guys that have been, that we've been in contact with, and some have visited, and I feel like corner's been a point of emphasis early in this cycle. And I think, first of all, Ethan O'Connor of all of them is probably my favorite of the guys that have visited recently. Really like, the dude's size, his jumping ability, his coverage skills. That's more of the, and that body type, 6'1", 6'2", can go up and fight for the football with a bigger wide receiver. That's more of the type of corner I would want for this team. So I see us going out and getting at least one, maybe two guys like Ethan O'Connor. Then there was the other kid from Arizona, not Tacario Davis. He's on my like unrealistic wish list. Tacario Davis. His teammate, I'm forgetting his name. Emmanuel Carnley, I think is his name. He's one that I liked. Cam Calhoun was another one. So a lot of interesting targets at corner that were very intriguing. But we'll see. Like I said, yes, Tacario Davis, stud. He is in because I have a realistic wish list and my unrealistic wish list. He's at the very top of my unrealistic wish list. That if we got him, even I would be surprised. Because look, our NIL is strong. And when Mario's at the table, we have a shot with anybody. I truly believe that. But yeah, that's one that even I would be like, wow, I would be impressed if we were to land somebody like that. You think we got a real shot at the NC State wide receiver? I see we're a finalist for him. He's another one that's on my unrealistic list. That was not as unrealistic. I could see us maybe landing Concepcion. He's a superstar. I love Concepcion. He is the type of wide receiver that I think we need more of in this room. He is the type of guy that I think JoJo Trader will be. Unfortunately, he didn't get the playing time that I would have wanted. He was a little nicked up. And took a little time for him to get into the fold. He got snaps here and there. But again, we were in a lot of close games, and you were the number one offense in the country. Obviously, what we were doing was working, but I would have liked to have seen the younger guys rotate in a little more. JoJo would have been at the top of the list. But I have no doubt that JoJo will play a lot as a sophomore, maybe start, maybe in the slot. We'll see. But I think JoJo, all that to say, JoJo, I think, is that type of player that I think we need more of. Chance, Nikar, they both have that speed, especially Nikar, very explosive. And then the incoming freshman, Joshua Moore, love his size, 6'4", 200+ pounds, and has the speed to boot for such a big dude. He is surprisingly fast. So we are trying to bolster the speed in that room. Do I think we have a shot? Yeah. Am I confident on Concepcion? Not super confident, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be totally shocked by that one. I would love KJ Concepcion on this team. I remember thinking that last year when he was a freshman. I'm like, ooh, he's at NC State. It's not a huge program. This kid's a superstar already. Watch out for him. Watch his name hitting the portal. And that was last year when the portal wasn't so crazy. Now everybody's jumping in there. No one's off limits. I would like more guys like him. Singleton, Georgia Tech kid, who Rocky's talking about here. Of the wide receiver targets out there, he's probably my favorite because I think, as much as I love Concepcion, I think you will move him around, but Singleton, I think, is more built physically to play on the outside and play more snaps on the outside, whereas Concepcion, you might be forced to put him in the slot a little bit more. Now, electric player, wherever you can get him on the field, I don't care. But Singleton, he's on my more realistic list that I think we have a better shot at. Guys on that list are, as far as wide receiver, are him, Eric Rivers from FIU, love him. Game-breaking speed, can take you deep all day and torture secondary. That's why he racked up so many yards. And who's another one? CJ Daniels, another one I like. More of a bigger possession guy, but knows how to get open, has a bigger frame, can, get in position, can make catches in traffic. I think doesn't have the game-breaking speed that the other guys do, but if you're going to lose Isaiah Horton, that's a good guy to replace Horton with. Just saying. And about the whole Isaiah Horton thing, because I don't think I've done a show since that happened, because it was like yesterday, I think. Isaiah Horton, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That one hurt. He's one of my favorite players on the team because we got him out of high school. He really developed nicely over these last 3 years. Now I think this was his redshirt sophomore season, if I'm not mistaken, that he just played. Redshirt sophomore or junior, one of the two. And he looked really freaking good. Not just the 600-something yards he put up, not just the stats. He just watched the tape, his route running. He did this one particular thing where his quick slant is uncoverable. He does this thing where he throws a shoulder fake into the slant that he looks like he's going to go over the top of you. But he's so quick, he throws that shoulder fake and comes inside. The corner has his back turned. He's like just screwed. He's wide open. 3rd and short, 4th and short. That was money every time. So love Isaiah Horton, long story short. But this is the game now. And what you're going to see a lot more of is what you see in the NFL sometimes. Guys testing the free agent market. What do I mean by that? For example, Auburn, Emory Williams, that freshman stud edge rusher that they have, he put out that he was intending, not officially, but intending on entering the transfer portal. He said that yesterday, and then today he's back. Hayes Fawcett just announced a little while ago that he's going to be back with Auburn. And you're going to be seeing more of that. And don't be shocked if maybe that's Horton. Maybe Horton ends up back with the team. I still don't think he officially entered the portal. Remember, it just said he signed the paperwork and he had the intentions of entering the portal. I think you should monitor that one because Miami's still, as far as I know, last I checked, still talking with them. I would imagine they're trying to agree on a number. That's what it seems like. It's definitely not him being disgruntled on playing time. The dude started most of the season. He was one of the featured parts of this offense. It seems like he was enjoying himself here. So, I don't think it was anything like that. I think a lot of this is money driven. And that's the deal with the transfer portal and with NIL. Guys are going to test the market to see what they're worth. And if teams are offering them above market price and your current team isn't, I'm not saying that's what's happening here, it's just hypothetical, and you're getting offered way more money, you're probably gone, depending on the situation. If it's good quarterback throwing to you, it's a good team, all that stuff. I can't say I wouldn't be. So that's the situation. So this may just be a case of him testing the market. We'll see. We'll see what happens. If he comes back, I'm sure he will be welcome with open arms because he's 6'4", a still developing, really, really good wide receiver that can develop into wide receiver 1 for this team next year. Possibly a 2nd round, maybe late 1st round ceiling I see for Horton. So keep that keep that on your radar. I don't think that's totally done. Horton disappeared the last 3 weeks of the season. I think he was getting more attention, to be quite honest with you. I know in the Syracuse game, Jacoby George in the first half was shredding Syracuse's secondary. But yeah, Horton was really hot, like early to mid-season. I hope Guidry and the quarterback coach go into the portal. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens with the coaching staff on defense. I would imagine changes are coming. Zechariah Branch in the portal, yes. Another one for my unrealistic list. Although, again, unrealistic, in my eyes, unlikely might be a better word, but would not be shocked if we were to land somebody like this. But this is the type of receiver I want more of. Someone who can run all the routes, someone who you can use on jet sweeps, slants, go routes, whatever. He can turn that 10-yard catch into a 65-yard touchdown. Not only can he get open, but he can also make you miss in the open field and take it to the house. The last guy we had like that had all those tools. Like they talk about 5-tool baseball players. You know, they can hit for average, hit for power, they can run, catch, throw, all that stuff. There are 5-tool wide receivers, so to speak. They got a little size, they got speed, they got the quickness. They just have something like some kind of game-breaking ability in them. The last guy we had like that to me was Amon Richards. Amon Richards was 6'1", so he wasn't huge. 6'1", 6'2", decent size. Can go up and get it. Can run every route. Had amazing hands. If you missed a tackle on him, forget it. Bye-bye. He's gone. Can make catches in traffic. And yeah, he was that last dude that checked off multiple boxes, was like had all the tools that you look for. Reggie Wayne. He was a good example. Moss was more of a pure speed guy. Electric playmaker, for sure. But yeah, I think Mario's looking for more game breakers like that. Which, if there's a silver lining in Isaiah Horton, if he ends up going to another team, yeah, it's another spot you got to fill. That sucks. But silver lining is you can replace him with someone who's more of a game breaker, someone who's more electric, a little more over the top speed to push your safeties back. You know what I mean? I think we needed that was one thing missing from our passing game. We didn't have that guy to take the top off the defense. Let's see. How about kicking and punt returns? Yeah. Branch can give you that. Concepcion can give you that. Maybe even Rivers can give you that. Yeah, that's another thing, that those electric kind of receivers that can get you big plays, you can put them back there as well, because we've been lacking that for a long time. KJ Osborne was a really good punt returner. Aside from that, man, who else? DJ Dallas, he was a decent punt returner. Remember, he had that one punt return for a touchdown against Pitt. And I think he might have had another one in another game. One who was like consistent good. Travis Benjamin, obviously. But yeah, it's almost like we're waiting 8 to 10 years between each one. I don't want that. I want guys that can take it to the house anytime they touch the ball. That really changes things. Travis Homer, he was decent returning kicks. Not bad. Not somebody that scared you, though. Congrats on 2.96. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. Really appreciate that. Probably going to get both Branch brothers. Would you take both Branch brothers? If that's the deal, it's like, hey, like Zechariah's like, hey, I'll come on board. I'll be a Kane, but you got to take my brother. Would you guys do it? Let me know. Not saying I would or wouldn't. I'm just saying, what do you guys think of that? Jeff Thomas still got nightmares from that UF game. Jeff Thomas certainly had the ability to be that kind of receiver. The reason why I didn't mention him, because he played with Amon Richards. It was the same team. I didn't mention him because it was like so on and off. Like, it was very inconsistent. He had a couple of punt returns. I remember one in Blacksburg he had that he just reversed his field. He ran around everybody and he dove for the pylon. I remember that. He had that ability. It wasn't consistently there, though. With Jeff Thomas, I mean, bit of a head case. Loved his ability. From time to time, he just bomb your secondary for a touchdown. He did it against FSU one time. In that Florida game in Orlando, he was wide open for a touchdown. Jaron Williams just didn't see him. He had a big one against Syracuse in that 2017 season. I remember that. So yeah, it was there in spurts, though. It was not consistent by any means. Obviously, the GOAT, Devin Hester. But yeah, I'm saying since Devin Hester, who has it been? Travis Benjamin, KJ Osborne was pretty consistent, but he didn't have the speed. He was reliable back there. He would always make a couple guys miss. He would always get you 10, 15 yards, at least sometimes 20, 25 yards on a punt return. If Thomas was stud, should have let Duke Johnson return kicks. He did. His freshman year, he returned kicks a couple times, and whenever they put him back there, he made a play. They should have let Duke return kicks more often, but for Al Golden, that guy was like the franchise. He wanted him to be like the whole team. And in other words, he wanted him to carry the team from the running back position. That's what I mean. And I don't think that was the right way to use Duke. Duke was more of a playmaker. They bulked him up. He got a little too big. He was still great, all-time leading rusher in Miami, but I don't know. I feel like the best version of Duke, as great as he was as a junior, best version of Duke was true freshman. That was when he was most explosive. Branch would give you, yes, he would. Branch is at a different level. Yeah, no. Agreed on all those comments. I take Zach Branch in a heartbeat. Going way back, Roscoe Parrish. Roscoe was before Devin. That's how far back that is. Yeah, Roscoe Parrish, Sonoris Moss. Although I think Sonoris played with Devin. They were also on the same team. Yeah, big drop off after that. We haven't had those electric playmakers consistently. We've had a guy here and there, but really lacking it. Greg, I don't think Mario will. You don't think Mario will attack the port? Really? I think he's attacking it. We just haven't officially landed the commits yet, but I think they're coming. Grambling linebacker we need. He plays tough. Yeah, you're talking about Andrew Jones. Interesting prospect. Thing is, he's coming from such a smaller program. It's like to make the jump. It's not easy. I think they want somebody a little bit more proven. Norman. Hi, John. Poyser is a huge get. Is cornerback Humphrey still in play? Thank you, sir. Appreciate the dono, first of all. Second of all, you're thinking of Humphrey, the corner from Georgia. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's already committed elsewhere. If the chat can help me out. I'm like 99% sure of that. Ooh, Greg Cooper. He was good. There was one year, and unfortunately it was the year he hurt his knee. I think it was 2009 that we went to the Russell Athletic Bowl. Same bowl we're going to this year. It's just called different. The Russell Athletic Bowl or the Champ Sports Bowl, whatever it was at the time, against Wisconsin. That year, Cooper was on his way to being like a third-round pick. He was returning kicks. He was running the football, having a great year. And in that game, if I'm not mistaken, it was that game, he tore up his knee and his career was never the same. But yes, forgot about Coop. Coop was a nice special teams playmaker. Mark Walton was that dude. Yes, he was. He absolutely was. Chris Johnson's the best kicker. I mean, certainly had the speed, but CJ was missing the wiggle. You need speed and you need wiggle. You need the ability to make guys miss. Greg Cooper, I remember that game against UNC. Philip Buchanan wasn't too bad. Yeah, no, Philip Buchanan was a really good kick returner. Really good. I remember him. Yes, okay. Yeah, Humphrey went to Texas A&M. Thank you, Fresh. That's a great point. Many times I heard if Mario can do that good with the records of the first two seasons, you'll probably get a number one class if you win 10 games. Hasn't happened. I'm glad you brought that up, Greg, because I think we were all a little surprised by that. But here's the problem. in the last couple of years, specifically the last cycle, recruiting has changed so much, and agents are involved now, and it's just the waters are so muddied. It's not so predictable that, like, okay, the team's improving, your win total's improving, that should mean, in return you're getting even more great players. People want to come win with you. It's not that simple. Basically, and this kind of sucks because you got your, one of the best recruiting head coaches in the game, but his abilities are kind of neutralized now because all the building relationships and all that stuff, that doesn't matter as much anymore. Building relationships means less than it ever has. I'm not saying it means zero, but it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Okay. It's a lot of it. The overwhelming majority is money. If you do not have the money, you are screwed. You are Washington State cranking out future NFL quarterbacks, future Heisman Trophy candidates, and basically you lose them. Kind of like the Oakland Athletics in the early 2000s. Small payroll. They're developing these great players. Jason Giambi, Mark Mulder, Tim Hudson, all those great players that came out of Oakland. If you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, go watch the movie Moneyball. Really good. They develop these great players, but they can't hang on to them because the big market teams, the Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, they come and scoop them all up. So if you don't have money, and until there's guardrails on this thing that teams have salary caps or limits to what players can make or whatever, when it's limitless like it is now and it's the Wild West, guess what? He who has the most money will win. I'm not saying we're broke, but I'm just saying our logic from last year is that, man, if we can win 10 games, like, man, that's a top 3 class. Guaranteed. Take it to the bank. I thought the same thing. I thought incorrectly. Recruiting has changed that much. More real, yes. We are a big market team. Let me just put it to you this way. If you're a coach, I'm not saying Mario, I'm saying, a lot of, and this goes for a lot of coaches. If you're Coach X, okay, you're at a big program, you're trying to win right now. Are you going to spend more money on a player that's proven, or are you going to spend more money on a high school kid that hasn't stepped on the field yet? If you got a team that you're like close to winning now, and you're looking for a few guys to get you over the top, where would you spend the bulk of your money? I'll leave that however you want to answer, however you want to interpret it. But if it's me, I'm going for the proven commodity, especially proven commodity that has multiple years of eligibility. So, it's not that Miami doesn't have money. Obviously, Miami's NIL, like I keep saying, is strong. How they choose to use it, are they going to overpay for this guy, not overpay for that guy? It is what it is. It's become a money game. So we might as well go all portal. Well, you don't want to get a team full of 1-year rentals, that's for sure. You want to have some sort of balance. You want to have the guys that stay 4 or even 5 years. And you want to have the fill-ins, the guys that are here for a year or two and then they bounce. It's not something that's sustainable. And I don't know what else to add to that. It's the way it is now. It's a carousel of players coming in and out. At some point, they have to put some guardrails on this thing because it's not sustainable, in my opinion. But it's what it is right now. So could you win with all portal guys? I don't think it's so much portal high school anymore. I think it's how many years of eligibility each player has. I think it's more that. So, yeah, definitely not. Look what happened to Florida State. Exactly. When it's too many 1-year rentals and you got to replace an entire team, look what happened. And you got to make sure it's guys that want to be here. Zach Poyser, he posted something, or I saw something on social media of him throwing up the U as a kid. So part of his dream was to play here, you know? So you also want those kids that want to be, regardless of the money and all that stuff, you also got guys that want to be here. They want to be the culture fit. I think that all still applies. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, it's just a different, slightly different way of doing things now. I got my prop charts ready. There was a comment I wanted to address. Miami's not overpaying for their players. They're setting the value to their position and sticking with it. Yeah, that's true as well. You got to do that. You got to get guys that are a culture fit. Because if you overpay in any sport, college or pro, you overpay, you get a bunch of bad contracts, and look what happens. Look at the New York Knicks for years. Remember how many bad contracts they had that they were saddled with? That killed them for years. Now they finally come out of it, and they're like a perennial playoff team. Shout out to Javi, by the way, big Knicks fan. Like, it really hurts you when you overpay for guys. Plain simple. Plain simple, we need to figure it out. No excuses. Yeah. That's pretty much it. The game has changed, and you got to roll with the times. You can't complain about it. Even Dabo just picked up his first transfer portal commit. Even Dabo. And I knew it was going to happen. He had to. He couldn't fall behind the times because Clemson would have continued declining. He's going to get on the portal train. He's probably going to go get a guy once his QB is gone, Klubnik. It's inevitable. John, your thoughts on Bill Belichick? Oof. Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. What are you doing, Bill? You're 72 years old, 73 years old. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Someone needs to explain to him that he's going to have to not only go out and recruit, he's going to have to re-recruit his current players like every day, because your team can up and leave at any time. I don't think that was explained to him, but it's not what it was a few years ago. If college, what it was 5-10 years ago, yeah, Bill Belichick can have a nice little 5-year stay at UNC and maybe do really well. The second he has a redshirt freshman renegotiating NIL deal, wanting to test the portal, no, he's going to tell that kid to kick rocks. Are you kidding me? I give him a year, maybe 2 years. The NFL, honestly, I think has become the less stressful job. That's just my opinion. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. Just like poker, we get our cards in, and if you know that hand needs help, get from the deck, aka portal. That's a good way of putting it. NIL pay for play, current transfer portal equals reality of current college football. Yeah. Even though NIL is not supposed to be pay for play, that's exactly what it is. Clemson should be good next season again because they played a lot of young players that will have experience. Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. How pissed off are the powers that be that Alabama's not in the playoffs? Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like it. This SEC narrative has been pushed long enough. The stranglehold they've had on the sport, I think, is dying. And that's one positive I can take from all this, from this Wild West that has become college football. That's one positive I take from it. That the handful of teams that had a stranglehold on the entire sport that are complaining now that players can get paid and they can negotiate and they can test the market. Well, yeah, because you were throwing bags at them for years. Okay. And the NCAA was looking the other way. So sucks for you guys, but it's reality. And now there's more parity, which I do like. This is not the same NCAA when Mario was the king of recruiting. Yep. You know what, though, Mo? Even though it's shifted and building relationships doesn't mean as much, I think Mario has adapted fine. He lost 3 guys right before signing day, but still had a very strong class. Kills it in the portal every year, in my opinion. This past season, obviously, you got Cam Ward, Simeon Barrow, Zach Carpenter, all 3 very valuable guys that helped you win a lot of games. Damian Martinez helped you win some games. He usually does pretty well there. So even though it's really shifted, I think the guy's done a pretty good job shifting with it while managing a team that he's trying to build. The programs that are established, that's a different story. We're not established yet, but hasn't lost too much of a step. And for what we lost before signing day, we'll make up for in the portal. John, I think we need to load up. Oh, let me start from the beginning. I think, John, we need to load up in the offseason. We got Notre Dame coming up first game. Yes. We're loading up. You saw who we got today. There's more of that coming. Let's just say that. They're going to be very aggressive. They're very active in the portal. Yeah, John, but to go 10-2 and end up with the class was a bit of a disappointment. If we are honest, at one point we thought we may end up with top 3 class when we was 9-0. Yeah, but Casey, I can pretty much guarantee you that it had nothing to do with losing those couple of games at the end of the season. I think it was happening regardless. Other programs, when they're in desperation mode, they're going to overpay. You're overpaying a 17, 18-year-old kid. It's going to be hard for that kid to say no. So that's kind of all I'll say on that. Don't think it's because, we lost to Syracuse, that's why we lost a few recruits. No, that's not the case at all. Did it help? No, but that's ultimately it's a lot of overpaying happening there. And again, it's a high school kid who's not proven, hasn't stepped on the field yet. Are you more eager to overpay in that situation, or would you rather overpay for free agent X who has a couple years of eligibility left, played really well in the SEC, or was an All-American in this G5 conference? I'm going for the proven guy because that's less work you have to do as a developer. That's a veteran that can come in, that can command that room, and that makes your job easier. You can focus more on the recruiting trail. John, any word from the DT from Kentucky? Yeah, they're still working that. But anything new? No, not really. But I know D tackle is another position they're being pretty aggressive on. I'm sure they want to bring in, I'm thinking 1, maybe 2 guys there that can play with Ahmad Moten, Justin Scott, et cetera, because that room is talented, I think, but they're young. The veteran in that group right now is Ahmad Moten, but then you got Armando Blunt, who's kind of a tweener. He'll fill out later as he gets older. I think he just turned 18, maybe, because he reclassified. Remember, Armando Blunt's very young. He'll need time to fill out. Eventually, maybe by 2026, he'll be a full-time starter at D tackle. But he's very young. Justin Scott, sophomore. I do expect him to play quite a bit, though. Horton, if hopefully he stays healthy, he'll be a nice rotational guy, very athletic. Who else? Artavius Jones, also very young. So you got Dalen Russell, very young. So you got a lot of young bodies there. And you need grown men at that position that can stop the run consistently through that 12, 14, 15 game season. Artavius Jones is in the bullpen. He's somebody I'm very, very, very excited about. I love Artavius Jones. Very raw. So still young and experienced. That's why you got to bring in a couple of vets. You bring in a couple of vets, a starter, and maybe a guy that can get you rotational snaps, kind of like you did this year with Barrow and Cook, and Clark also. Just get me a couple. But if you give me an established starter with size, somebody like a Silver, that'll take pressure off of Ruben Bain, off of Justin Scott, Cole McConaughey. That'll let them roam free a little bit. And if we can stop with the damn stunts, then that would also really be helpful, in my opinion. Moten got a ball in 2025. Yeah. I loved Ahmad Moten's development. That was great. But again, put a vet in that group to like lead them. Oof. That's a deep room because you got the combination of experience with the youth, athleticism with size. Yeah, they got to go get at least one. Keyshawn Silver would be a great add. There's other options though. I do like the kid Blay from Louisiana Tech. Like him a lot. I don't think he quite has the size of Silver, but still a vet, proven guy, racks up a lot of tackles, gets a lot of pressures. You can never have too many guys in the room like that. All right. I said it was going to be a short show, and I've gone almost an hour, so I think I'll end on this one. Thank you, George, for the question. Any word on a new center? I think Jordan White's a Vanderbilt. They're going after probably one or two linemen is my guess. They're going to have competition at center. You got SJ coming in next year. You got Ryan Rodriguez, who can play center and guard. You have Nino. They like to, how do I say this? They like to cross-train guys. So it's hard to say if I think what they're going to do is going to bring in an interior guy, maybe have him compete at center. But if he doesn't win the job, maybe Nino wins the job at center. You can bounce him out to guard. As you know, they love cross-training, especially on the O-line. So specifically center, I don't have anything new there. I know they're talking to guys, but nobody that I'm like, ooh, watch out for this kid. And also, if there was, I'm very careful about saying that. I know the school likes to be very secretive. I don't like to say anything they don't want out there because, schools, believe it or not, schools hear it and, they offer money not to visit Miami. It's like, we try to be super covert and cryptic about this stuff. But I am sure they will bring in, if I'm them, I would bring in an interior guy and a tackle. For me, my dude for next year is Rodriguez. I thought he played really well in the Florida game. It's a shame we didn't get to see him more because that was the game where it looked like Cam had 9 hours to throw the ball. It looked like he had time to send a tweet, run to the bathroom, have a cafecito, and, throw one to the back of the end zone to JG for a touchdown. That's the O-line looked like a freaking wall. And he was a big part of that. He really came on late, had a good spring, had a really good summer, added some size, and looked like a legit power 4 interior lineman. And again, a shame you didn't get to see it the rest of the season. But Ryan Rodriguez can definitely play center, and I'm fine with him. But remember, increased scholarships. You can't have too much depth. You can't have too much bodies on the O-line. We've been pretty fortunate to not have too many injuries on the O-line these last couple of years. We lost Rodriguez and Rivers last year. Rivers only for half the season. We were fortunate that Markel Bell developed just fast enough to fill that spot. But if we sustained one more injury on the O-line, we would have been in a bit of trouble this year. Just know, our depth was tested. But now, add a couple more bodies. More guys are developing. Markel Bell's a guy you can really count on now, probably to start. So it's looking a little better depth-wise. Flo, what's going on, sir? John, how do you think Maui Noah pancake? Let me read that again. John, how do you think Maui Noah and Pancake Okunlola been to big recruits Mario recruiting? I don't quite understand that. Are you asking how have bringing them on board? How has that affected O-line recruiting? I remember how big they were as far as recruits, how big that was when we got both of them. That was huge. Maui Noah he's playing tackle, one of the best tackles in the ACC, if not the country, just statistically. He does not allow a lot of pressures at all. Does a great job at right tackle. That's not even his position. He really should be a guard. He'd be mauling people in the middle. That's probably what he's going to play in the NFL. So he's playing out of position. He doesn't quite have like the wingspan and all that stuff that like a Matt McCoy does. But yeah, that he's been awesome. Maui Noah's been awesome. No complaints there. Pancake coming along. I think he could be a real contributor this year. We'll see what happens. Yes, how you think they've been? Yeah, well, I just explained. One has been really, really, really good. And the other one, I think there's still potential for him to be really, really, really good. Okay, now for real this time. This is the last question. How do you feel with Frederic and Damari Brown as starting corners next year? I feel pretty freaking good about that. You need depth, though. You got those two. You probably got Damari playing the star or playing slot corner. So you need another outside guy. One of these portal guys we got coming in, that would be, they got some of the guys that I talked about earlier. One of them would be a nice addition, would fit in great. And then you got Ryan Mack, who question mark only because he's inexperienced. He was a true freshman this year. He's an excellent cover guy. And if he turns into what Frederic was this year, which is what a lot of people are expecting, with those four guys, I mean, you're in pretty good shape. Yeah, exactly what I was just saying. Frederic, Damari Brown, add Mac to that, and yeah, you got a nice little crew there. But they'll add one or two corners to compete. I think what they're going to do with the secondary is kind of like what they did with the O-line last year. O-line was terrible in 2022. And what do? They retooled it, completely retooled the O-line. You add Matt Lee, great center from UCF, leader, future NFL guy. Javion Cohen, 2-year starter from Alabama. Jalen Rivers gets healthy. Let's see who else. Matt McCoy gets healthy. So you had all these new faces. It was completely retooled, new look offensive line, and it was night and day. I think you're going to have a similar scenario with the secondary this year. Add a couple of guys. This guy gets healthy. You add this guy from the portal. This recruit outplays what you expected. All of a sudden, different secondary. That's what I'm expecting next year. I just hope we get the DC that can, or if it's Guidry, I hope Guidry can really use them to their strengths. But anyway, that's all I got. If not, I can keep going, but I should stop it here. It's 9:00. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to go finish my cafecito. As always, go Canes. Have a good night, everybody.